Welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. If you're ready to take control of your destiny, build wealth, and live life on your own terms, this is the place for you. Each week, Nat and I will talk about business, franchising, and personal growth to help make you more successful. Good morning, Nat.
Good morning, Pete.
Woo! It's an awesome day.
Excellent. What are you excited about today?
I am excited because I just hit a milestone. You know that I'm a former corporate executive and I escaped the corporate world and I became an entrepreneur, right? And I just hit a milestone. And it's like 15 years of being an entrepreneur. And I go, holy cow, I started reflecting and I go, God, that is just, I'm just super pumped up that I picked that path of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think you and I connected like you were probably 1 or 2 years into having your own business. So it goes fast.
Yeah, and I think it's very compelling to think about becoming an entrepreneur. At least in my case, it was, and I work with people all the time that are interested in becoming an entrepreneur. It's a very compelling proposition.
What do you like best about being an entrepreneur? I'm kind of curious.
Well, I think there are, as I reflected, I think there are, imagine this, 8 compelling reasons.
Okay.
8 compelling reasons, and I think the first one is that you can control your destiny. And when I ask executives, and I know for me it was, when I was in the corporate world, I didn't control my destiny. So people would say, Pete, this is where your next job is. Pete, this is where you've got to live. Pete, these are the hours that you have to work. Pete, these are the team members that you have to have under you. Pete, this is your boss, right? You don't control your destiny. And that was really hard. So as an entrepreneur, I get up and I know that I don't have to have a boss. You know, I don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm in complete control. I don't have to relocate next year. And to me, controlling your destiny, life is so precious that you want to be in control of it. So controlling destiny, I think, is number one in terms of a compelling reason to become an entrepreneur.
I would never have thought that you would be a guy that wants to have control.
Yeah. My wife would say I'm a control freak, right? So I know that's hard to believe. But there's actually a disorder for that, my wife would say, but I suspect I have it.
So then I also heard you say something about being your own boss. So you like that too?
I get up every day and I pinch myself. I'm just so thankful I don't have to have a boss. You know, a boss that's kind of riding you. Maybe they're making the decisions and deep down, maybe we should go this direction, but the boss is clearly having you go a different direction, right? So if you can apply your energy and time into stuff that you believe is important, that is so much better than having a boss from that standpoint. It's just so nice not having somebody over me and having a performance review and somebody saying, it just, to me, being your own boss is so precious.
Yeah. You remember that movie, The Great Escape with Steve McQueen?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that? Like you escaped corporate America?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, I had some really good bosses at Ford and Terex. I mean, I had some great bosses and maybe some not good bosses, but it's different when you are in charge and you get to make the decisions and you have to live with those decisions, but at least you get to make the decisions and set the direction of where you want to go. That's super cool. So I think that's the second one is, being your own boss.
Nice. What else do you like about having your own business?
Well, I think it's the idea that when you escape the corporate world, you leave behind all those politics and those unattainable objectives, right? It's amazing how much politics wears on you when you're in the corporate world, right? It's just you're playing a game, and it's that's just part of the world. And so there's corporate politics where who are you aligned with, what are you doing, does this look right, does that look wrong, that kind of stuff, and that's just draining from a standpoint. and I will tell you also that when you get objectives, and I remember getting objectives like we need to take the market share from 5% to 7% next year, or whatever it may be. And I'd say, well, great, we got to take the market share up, but what additional resources am I going to get to improve that market share? Oh, no, you're not getting any more resources. You just need to improve the number. I'm like, well, it just, that they're unrealistic. And you say, okay, why do we have this objective? Well, that came down from the top of the house. That's what we need to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so politics and having objectives that you can't obtain or you don't have any buy-in to, that's just, it's not so much fun. I think the third reason is that you can escape the corporate world and leave all that draining stuff behind or unrealistic stuff behind.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think you were a good soldier, Pete. Must have been kind of tiring.
Well, it was, but I love working and I again work for some great companies and stuff like that. But that's just the nature of corporations is that the politics and you got to have objectives and stuff like that. So
So
uh,
when you were at corporate, you pretty much just you got to set your own schedule and everything, right?
well, not exactly, no. So the deal was is that it was FaceTime with the companies I was at is that you had to be in the office, and I always tried to be the first one in the office, of course, and then you get dragged into meetings in the late afternoon and early evening, and so it can be where you miss stuff, right?
Right.
You're locked into that schedule, or you got business trips. And I remember being in times where I would miss my kids' sporting events. I just couldn't go. I couldn't coach sports. I almost missed a big event with one of my daughters because I got stuck in a meeting. Heck, I almost missed the birth of one of my kids
Oh boy.
based on not having the flexibility. And so, being your own boss, you can set your schedule. And so, if I want to see my daughter's soccer game, I can. Right. That just means maybe I get into the office and start early at 5 a.m. so that I can walk out of there at 3:30 to catch my daughter's game at 4. You're in
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. That's a really good point. You're your own boss, but you do have to, still be very focused on results, right?
Yeah.
But another nice thing about that too is you basically have unlimited potential. Like if you want to work harder, you can be more successful or do more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're rewarded for that hard work. But I think the example I give is that we spent some time in Florida for the winter this year, and I work from Florida, but I had the ability to do it on my schedule. So I got up early, I worked, and then kind of mid afternoon, I went and kind of enjoyed myself. And I wouldn't have been able to do that in the corporate world. And so flexible schedule, I think, is another great way to enjoy being an entrepreneur.
Excellent. What else is important to have in your own business?
Unlimited potential. When you work hard, no, but when you're in a corporate gig, right? All right, you work hard and you may or may not get a bonus depending on how the company did, right? You may
Yeah.
or may not get a merit raise based on what they're going to do that year and what your boss thinks of you and stuff like that. So you're really kind of locked into what you can make and more importantly, how much wealth you can build, right? As an entrepreneur, hey, you mentioned it earlier, if you work hard, you got unlimited potential in terms of what you can earn. So you're not locked into, hey, listen, hey, good job, you worked hard, you're going to get a 2% raise. Oh, by the way,
Right, right.
inflation was 6% last year, so I just went backwards by 4%. Thanks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
it's nice to have your own earning potential.
Well, and build wealth, right? I mean, if you're in a corporate gig, okay, I can put some money into retirement, I can do a little bit of other stuff, but it's really hard to build wealth. I mean, there's a reason why wealth is created by business owners, right?
Yep.
I mean, you take a look at the number of millionaires, and most of them are basically they're entrepreneurs.
You see that Saturday Night Live the other day with Elon Musk. I don't know if it's Saturday night. It was one of the late night shows, and they're introducing him, and they're like, "Here's the guy that's you know sending rockets into space and putting satellites up, and like doing just incredible stuff." Right? It is crazy, but as an entrepreneur, you can really unharness your potential.
Yeah, no question. I mean, and you could argue that he's got a pretty good income and pretty good wealth creation, right? But he's went out there and done it through an entrepreneur, and he wouldn't do that running a company.
Right.
All right,
So
what
what
do you think the
about what else do you like about having your own business?
You know what I like about when you're an entrepreneur is that you can surround yourself with people you like,
Yeah.
right?
I always said build something you want to be a part of, right? Like when
Yeah,
you can choose your teammates or coworkers and people that you hire and like you said, I like that. Surround yourself with people you want to be around.
right. A lot of times when you're in the corporate world, they pick your boss, they pick your employees, right? They, from a standpoint. And so when you're a business owner, you decide who you want to surround yourself with, and we've both read the compound effect, right? The people
Yep.
that you hang out with is who you become. So if you
Yep.
surround yourself with really good people, you're gonna be successful. And I try to teach that to my kids, right? It's whatever you want in life, go surround yourself with people that are really good, because generally good things happen.
Well, and something in franchising that like I think a lot of times we forget about or overlook is the other franchise owners. They have the annual conferences and everything, so you get to meet the other franchise owners. But a lot of those guys are successful. They've been corporate executives, they've been
Yeah.
successful. They're building, XYZ franchise. They have the same challenges. So it gives you get even another layer, I guess, of opportunity to be around people that you like. Ironically, I mean, that's ultimately how I met you. That's how I met Troy, was all through franchising.
Yeah, right. We're like people, trying to do the same thing, make a
Mhm.
difference in the world for sure.
What else would be a positive about not being at corporate?
You get to live where you want.
Hey, why not live in Chicago?
Oh, that's a whole other story. But
5 months of winter.
when I was on the corporate track, right, we would move every 20 months.
Oh my
Right? And that's a
gosh.
full relocation. And that's moving
Yep.
kids out of schools, different states, and you got to set up new doctors, you got to do all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to imagine resetting your life every 20 months, but that's what we did in the corporate world. And so now that we've been in Chicago for a long time, nearly 2 decades, it's absolutely amazing how enjoyable it is to have long-term friends that are your neighbors and being involved in the community and things like that. I find it to be much more settling. Now, are we basically collecting a lot of junk in our house? Because when we used to move every 20 months, we would get rid of stuff, right? So now
Right.
we're filling up this house with junk. So we probably need to move just to get rid of some of this crap.
Yeah, you're like, realizing, oh, we have all this stuff from when the kids were in grade school or whatever. It's like it's easy to accumulate if you're not moving, but probably the trade-offs of the relationships and all that, and putting down roots for your family is really good.
Yeah, well, and they may move you, a corporation may move you to a high tax state, or, a place that's cold, or, so if you want to go be in the sun in Florida, great. If you want the Midwest, whatever works for you, but you can. And I also like about being an entrepreneur is that you don't have to have commutes. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we've changed a little bit as a society with the pandemic, but to think somebody is spending, and I did that with one of my jobs at Ford, where you're commuting an hour there, an
Oh
hour
my
back,
gosh. Yeah.
you don't get those hours back. Now we
Yeah.
can listen to self-improvement tapes or audio on those things, but bottom line is that's just, and I think, wasted time. It's just so draining. So if
Yeah.
you can live where you want, I think that's a huge advantage of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And if you're putting down roots in your community, then you can, really make a difference too when you
Well,
have
and I think,
your own
yeah,
business.
and I think the last one is you're making an impact, right?
Hmm.
When you're a corporate executive, you don't have the time, and a lot of times you're moving communities and stuff like that, and you just don't get a chance to be involved in the community like a business owner, right?
Yep.
A business owner, you're creating jobs in the community. You are basically, maybe you're sponsoring the local food bank with your business. And I know you do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff with my business locally here, and I think that's very rewarding to be an entrepreneur, that you can contribute to your community with your business.
That's awesome. It sounds like you feel like you kind of got your life back by having your own business.
Yeah, I'm so happy because every day I get up and I get to make a difference in people's lives. I don't have to have a boss. I don't have to have politics. I get to live where I want. I can have
Hmm.
the schedule I want, and it all started with making the decision to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I'm happy. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, so 15 years of this fun stuff. So hopefully lots more. All
Here's to
right,
the
thanks
next
for
15.
yes, thanks.
All right. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.